Episode 29, boys.
Let's go.
Guys, I had the under, and here we are at the over. This is exciting. How are we doing today?
Did you think we were going to get to 28 and we just got over it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
All
Sorry,
right.
if you paid attention to the podcast, I've said that like 7 times so far. So.
It's just you. It's just you I don't pay attention to.
That's hurtful. That's hurtful. Anyway, episode 29. Thank you for coming to Late to the Mic. We have a very special guest today that all of you are hopefully going to be listening to while you're driving to his show. We have Brian Potter. How we doing, Brian?
Hey guys, what's happening? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, dude, absolutely. I was very excited when Troy was like, I got the in. I think we can do this. I was like, yes, let's do it. I love it. Yeah.
Pour myself out, promote the show.
That's
Absolutely.
It. Yeah, it's tough, right?
That's what we're here for.
I mean, you know, you had to tell Troy yes, because I feel like you tell enough people no when they ask for tables that it's got to feel good to just tell someone yes to something occasionally, right?
I just tell him if you got something cooler than Canova, you can come.
Oh, well,
I like that.
There you go. That's it. So basically anything other than ball pythons and people can come? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I tell everyone now, all the time. Like, hey, so-and-so's not coming. He said I could use his tables. Is that cool? I'm like, totally cool. Oh, wait. What do you sell?
What do you sell?
Can't do it. That's our policy now.
I just feel like you don't have enough ball pythons at the show, though, Brian. I just really feel like you need more. It's like cowbell. You just need more ball pythons.
I feel bad telling people that because, like, you know, they went out, they bought these things the last 10 years, 8 years, whatever it's been. They finally are breeding, producing stuff. And like, oh, now we're going to go to Tinley and, you know, try to make our way. And I'm like, well, we're not letting any ball python people in.
That's why we're showing up with only hog noses.
Yeah, I was saying, Chimera is actually now a hog nose breeding and skink breeding specifically so we can bypass this rule. It's great. It's good.
Yeah.
You're forcing people to diversify unintentionally, potentially. I don't know.
I think that's pretty much coming, right?
Yeah, it has to. We had a table in 2018. It was our first show we've ended with y'all. And we did not renew that table. And little did I know that was the greatest real estate mistake I would ever make in my life.
Yeah. It's people, it took about, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years for like the vendor public to kind of figure that out. And now nobody does it. Now it's like, there's always somebody and he's like, hey, I got to re-sign up for my buddy because I use his tables and whatever.
Yeah.
We're going to change that policy now to where we're going to take the tables back if you don't show.
Oh, okay.
And then do realignment, by percentages of, you know, leopard geckos, crested geckos, ball pythons, whatever it may be. So that, because here's the deal, what could really happen, and we didn't really think about this until you start seeing it, is what if 5 like cool tables of weird stuff don't show, but their buddy takes the table over, and those 5 guys that come in are all ball python guys. All of a sudden, man, you really have a problem on your hands. So we have to take control back of that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
You say problem, and I'm like, I love the idea of more ball pythons. No, I do get it from like, especially a show promoter standpoint of like, you want diversity because that diversity brings in a more diverse crowd and a larger crowd a lot of times. And the more cool shit at the show, the better it is. And I mean, even as a, you know, mostly ball python breeder, like I love walking the show and seeing the cool species that are there, you know, and seeing the new stuff that I don't get to see every day.
Yep.
I mean,
I love running around just looking for lychees.
It's great, right? Like lychees, chameleons, like it really is. And some of it, you know, Troy and Chase, I assume feel similar. Like we get a little jaded in that we all have, relatively speaking, like very high end ball python collections that we see every day. And we see a lot of the really cool stuff daily. So we, you know, go to the show and we do want to see stuff different. And I'm sure there's a lot of people like that. So as much as like people bitch and moan, I get it.
I'll hear people complain, oh, all it is ball pythons. And it's like, I'll walk and see there's a ton of amazing stuff there, a ton.
Yeah. Brian, is there something like off the top of your head you think is missing at Tinley as far as a species or something?
Yeah, be honest with you, green tree pythons and emerald tree boas. Like in a meaningful way. I don't mean like there's one over there. There's one. Somebody with like a display like Rico would have. Remember? Why was there silence after I said Rico? We all know who that is, right?
I don't know if I do.
Oh, you
Oh
kids.
man.
You kids.
Brian, first off, you're talking to a bunch of children. Second
I
off,
know. I just realized I was at the third grade now. And
you're also trying
Yeah. I mean, in my defense, I've been at every Tinley since the first
just
one.
to hear this moment, there's going to be a lot of old fuckers, if they see this, cracking up about that. That was pretty awesome. Anyway,
I love it.
guys, and Green Tree Python guys, it would be cool to have like a 3-table section of nothing but, mind-blowing stuff. And it's like it's one of those things, and I know why. They're all selling their stuff as fast as they get it, and they don't need to be there. I get it.
Sure.
But it would be very cool. But a lot of people are moving into that space, I think. I think the same thing with, lychees, obviously. A lot of people moved into that. Hognose, we're going to have hognose problem in 5 years from now, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
you're going to be banning people from hog
I was about to say, in 5 years, possibly next year, buddy. Like, come
I
on.
was being generous, but I really do think that, and that's what's going to always happen, right? Everyone's going to move, and then the asses follow the masses, or vice versa, whatever. You know how that goes. So it's like, it's always going to be the thing. And it's like I tell people to this day, I go, there would not be ball pythons in the numbers that they are at the show if that's not what people were buying.
Oh, absolutely.
It'll figure itself out.
Yeah.
So how many skinks do I need to bring to Tinley to get a table? That's the math I need to know. We'll talk those ratios later.
Email, honestly, anybody that wants to get into Tinley, this is what you do. You email me and you put in there, first line is, I don't breed ball pythons. And the second line is what you do breed. And then based on that, that's who's going to start getting in as tables become available. Because I really do think there'll be attrition with ball python guys. Honestly, I really do.
Yeah. So do you think, so people like me that are in this situation, right? So mainly a ball python breeder, that is the bread and butter of our company. But like, we also are doing extensively like skinks, other stuff like that. So are people in that same situation? Is there any shot? So this is just for the masses that listen, like, do they have a shot?
If you're just all ball python, you have 0 shot right now.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not.
No. I think this is what people.
No.
It's not a power trip. I feel horrible. I wish there was 20,000 more square feet on the building. We would just tell everybody yes. I hate saying no.
Yeah.
But to make it where when people come there, it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, type situation. We're gonna prioritize. Like we had a guy reach out. He does Bolin's pythons.
Yeah.
I don't know his name offhand, but he's got captive born Bolin's, and he's got some other really cool stuff, blackheads and womas, and just some other cool stuff. No ball pythons. He's right on the top of the list. You know.
Yeah, you're gonna get him in. Yeah, absolutely.
He's first guy like in.
Yeah.
And then it'll just go down from there. Now, if you have like where you have ball pythons and a bunch of other stuff, that if we say to you, hey, is your table more than 50% other stuff? Then I have no problem with that.
There's hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thing. You just don't want people breeding like. If you have 2 tables, say, right, you don't want somebody bringing like 1 display of a random species and then 7 displays of ball pythons. Like we're trying.
Yeah. It doesn't benefit any of you guys or us or the people coming through the door.
Well, I guess I'm freezing all the skinks now. Damn it.
Brian, do you, this episode's gonna be based a lot around Tinley, but is this the same idea for Schaumburg and for Dallas and stuff, or is there more freedom for things there?
Yeah. Well, we're definitely here. The thing in Schaumburg is we have a lot of space there, right? I mean, we can blow that show up to be. So that problem when that problem becomes a problem, we'll address it. Dallas, the elephant in the room, right? So
it's a giant ass elephant, right?
We got kicked out of Arlington. Not us. Everyone that did a show there. They're turning the whole place into what's called like a traveling art, like an art gallery. But for like 3 months, it'll have like some famous artist, and then that collection will move out of there, and then they'll bring in somebody else, and for 3 months they'll be there, and that's what they're doing there. So whether it works or not, we don't know. But everybody was booted out of there. So we started looking all around. We looked at a ton of places. We looked at the places that Reptilian Nation did in Fort Worth.
Okay.
And everyone that went to the show said the parking sucked. The people that ran the facility were assholes. And there was a couple other problems. Vendors were not happy about the space. We looked at it. We couldn't find dates. We looked around at a million other facilities. Could not find dates. First of all, there's not a million. There's not a lot of places you can do these shows.
Yeah, that's a size issue.
That are a quality place. Parking is good. It's near something. People tell me all the time, "Oh, you should do one," and they'll name this town in Texas. It's so small, it's not on the fucking map. Like, and then like I don't know what people think. Like, you can't have a show. We're not doing VFW hall shows with 37 people through the door.
Why not?
To do that. So
I don't understand.
it just doesn't work. It's like there has to be actual humans that live in the area we're going to do it. So we looked everywhere, and we ended up on the Dallas spot. Somebody reached out to us. I'll be perfectly honest about this. We did not know about the retic issue and the other stuff when we signed. We did not. We had time to get out, but we kept searching for another place. There was no other place and obviously we moved from February to April already. We wanted to be in February. It was. So we moved it to April. We have dates for the next show. We're going to still continue to look for more places to have it. I don't like the retic guys not being there. I don't like the carpet guys not being able to be there, and on and on and on. And we are also at the same time working with city council. We think that there's going to be some city council at the show in April.
Okay.
And we're going to try to explain to them, this little sand boa that's, this big cannot be here, but this 6-foot red tail you're good with.
Yeah.
It's somebody who made these decisions doesn't really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Which
do you worry mildly though that like they see that and all of a sudden they're like, the red tail might be an issue?
It could be. It could be.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, though, I'm going to say you do understand for the last how long we've been in Arlington, Texas, 20 minutes down the road, and no
issues.
Python attacks in Dallas have happened.
Yeah.
There's people from Dallas coming here to Arlington, spending their money, parking, food, gas, everything else, hotel rooms, and then they're coming back to your town and living here anyways.
Yeah.
You haven't solved any problem. You just lost revenue.
Yeah.
Are you new to government? I feel like that's
right.
Unfortunately.
And I'll have no problem telling them that, I get how you guys work. It generally comes down to the money, and you're losing money.
Yeah, a lot of money.
A lot.
Yeah.
Brian, any chance for the Dallas area that you guys looked? I'm only asking this because I've been to the place. There's a big convention center at Grapevine.
Yeah.
Hit me up, text me like the info on the place, and I'll reach out.
Yeah. There's great.
I'm really back in, man. I feel bad,
Yeah. Grapevine's a great area too. It's a cool area.
Cool.
So.
Bob was kind of leading the attack on that as far as the places, and then looping me in once we had a little bit of progress. So he may have. I'll find out.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. Brian? Like on the same subject. Like, what about? Are you guys? And maybe you can't answer this, but like, are you looking at anywhere else to add a show?
We are not. No, we really aren't. Bob and I are both super busy with all the other stuff we do. I have Chicago Reptile House, a couple other things I do, and I'm 53 now. So it's like, it catches up to you. There's a lot going on. Bob's got a million products going on. We're good. I would like to make what we have, each one of them get better and better and better to where, I'm not saying they're all going to be Tinleys because there's a lot of things that go into that make it what it is. But that's obviously the goal that was the thing about Dallas. We added 120 booths over Arlington thinking, oh man, this is going to be amazing. It'll be perfect. And then all the shit happened. And I think there's a workaround there. I really do think that when they see what we do, I think we can make Dallas work. I think we're going to change something there. I really do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you guys. You certainly got. The vendors that you have, the people. It's not a fly by night, VFW backroom kind of deal, right? It's. I hope their city council does come. I think that's a great idea, and I guess if anybody's from Dallas is listening to this, I would maybe reach out to them, right, and invite them yourselves. And
absolutely, yeah, we're going to invite everybody. Phil Goss has been working with us too on this. Phil Goss has led the whole thing, so he's really been amazing. He's just such an awesome guy, man. We were so lucky to have him.
Yeah. I saw Vanessa this weekend while at the Denver Reef Show, and so got to chat with her a little bit about stuff. And just to talk about Phil for a second, like he is literally the guy for the job. Like you just can't find. I would never be able to read through the stuff he has to read through. Just the tape he has to go through. So he is definitely the guy. And I certainly hope he knows that he's appreciated. I'm
telling you, man, like Mark Bell, he worked for Mark Bell and Kim Bell for a time, and I've had conversations with both of them. They're like, it's so interesting to have seen where he started and who he is now and how he's so perfect for what he does. He's so good at it. He's the perfect guy for it. He has a calm demeanor. I mean, there's not many people that have that demeanor that Phil has. Intelligence as well, carries himself well, stays out of the bullshit, you know?
Yeah, he's great. Absolutely great.
That's awesome.
Running back to Tinley really quick, Brian, I wanted to ask you, like, obviously you and Bob run the show together. What do you think your strengths are, and what do you think Bob's strengths are when it comes to putting on such a big show?
Yeah, so Bob, what Bob's good at is usually he deals with all the hotel stuff, like as far as contracts and all that kind of stuff like that, tracking down those type of things, the budget with the food and all that with the hotel. He deals with all that stuff. Social media stuff's all me, because like I'm horrible with a computer. Bob is 500 times worse. And so I do all the social stuff. And now we have Vanessa Conquest doing social, which is, you can totally tell. It was funny. Brian Barczyk, I was up at his place maybe a year ago, maybe somewhere there, and she had just come on board. Lori's across me, Brian's across from me, Tingle, and Lori goes, "Hey, who's doing social media for NARBC?" And I was like, "Oh, I know what they're fucking saying, that it doesn't suck anymore." Like, I knew right away. I go, "Do you like what's going on recently?" They're like, "It's really good." I go, this girl Vanessa, and they're like, both of them were like, "She's got an eye for it. She's good," you know. And so she's handling that stuff for us now. As far as running the show stuff, Bob kind of handles you guys vendors as far as the layout. I kind of handle the money side of that. And I have a better handle on who people are than Bob. So there's that part of it as well. Bob lives in the middle of nowhere, you know, Portal, Arizona. So
Right.
like, if he leaves a show, that's the last Reptile people type he's seeing. You know, he's gone. You know what I mean? He's back, and he's not a social media guy. He has no Facebook.
Yeah.
He has no Instagram, you know.
Wow.
So yeah, give you an idea.
That's rare now.
So we're a perfect, as far as partners, man, we're perfect. We're like brothers. He's been amazing to be a partner with. And I think he feels pretty much the same. We don't have any, we just have no issues.
Yeah. For people
That's
that
awesome.
don't know, what about how did you and Bob become friends or partners in a business? How did that all come about?
We did the Indianapolis. Do you remember when Brian Hahn did like a Breeders' Expo rather than his monthly show?
Yeah.
Once again, oh, you did?
Yeah, I used to been that.
Well, he had the one. Remember, he had the 1 year, and it was at like that really nice facility. Do you remember that? And he called it his Breeders' Expo. Yeah, this is way.
No, I only went to the ones at the fairgrounds.
You guys are probably too young, honestly, for that. He had a big Breeders' Expo thing, and he only had, I think, 1 year. Well, Bob and I were both there, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing next weekend?" He goes, "I'm going to North Carolina to do this show in Carolinas." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'll roll with you. I'll go." And so as we roll past on 80, where Tinley is, it was a dirt pile with machines moving dirt. And I said, "We should put a Reptile show when that place opens up right there. It would be fantastic." I go, "I grew up in Tinley Park. I know it. You know, I know the area. I know Chicago." I said, "It would be fantastic. You can get here from everywhere." I gave him all the points. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm in. I'm in." And so we drove to North Carolina. We got there. We started telling people we're doing a show in October. But it wasn't like the 4 or 5 months from then October. It was like the next October. So we're, you know, talking about it like a year and a half out. And everybody signed up. I called Pete Call and, you know, Mark Bell and Don Hamper. We got all the names, and they were all like, "Yeah, we're in." And then that was it. You know, it was on. And we thought we were going to make, you know, millions of dollars that first year, you know. And, you know, we had tickets to get in, and then we had a stamper so that, like, when we hit like 10,000 through the door, 20,000 through the door, we could start stamping people, you know. And then we were going to like get an overflow parking lot, and because we were going off all the bullshit numbers that we had heard from all these other shit shows, you know.
Yeah.
You know, there's like a little shitty show, and they'll be like, "Yeah, 12,000 through the door," and so you're like, "Holy fuck, we're gonna have like, I don't know, 45, 50,000 probably then." So you're thinking just like two total idiots, you know. And we laugh about it to this day. We lost our ass on that first couple of years, and you know, it takes a while. But
I came over to one of your.
That started.
Yeah, I came to one of the first, like it might have been the second Tinley. I came over with Mark and Allie that now have animal plastic racks.
Yeah.
And I came with Al, and I'll say Al's last name wrong, but Al Bungdaglo. He was a big retic breeder.
Al Baldogo.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, he was absolutely amazing, and they really kind of took us under their wing, and we stayed at the hotel, and I remember Mark and Allie and me and Al went to like downtown or something, and we ended up on the L, and the lady at the hotel we stayed at was like, "Don't get on it after midnight," and it was like 2 a.m. or something stupid, or 1:30, and it was an interesting deal for me. I was only like 22 maybe at the time, or 23 or so at the time, so I was still kind of young, and it was an interesting experience.
Yeah, there are not many people from Iowa get on that L and live.
Yeah. It was me and my wife, and then like Mark had a buddy named Matt. He had like real long hair, so yeah, he's like a sport. We stuck out. I'll say that we stuck out.
Yeah, I bet. I'm surprised you get cleaned up.
Oh, that's amazing! I love that.
Mhm.
Yep.
I can just imagine young Troy just wandering the streets, hopping on random streetcars. It's good.
I got on that thing, man. I put my head down. I just looked at the ground, and I just prayed that I was going to make it to the stop we needed to get off.
I'll bet. When I was a kid, I'd be like in the car, like terrified downtown.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just gotta know where you're at down there. You're fine.
Yeah.
Not the L, though.
So with Tinley being as popular as it is now, and I would assume as packed as humanly possible at this point, have y'all thought about switching to another venue that might be able to support more people?
What I would love to do is take the Schaumburg facility, put it in Tinley, take the Tinley facility, put it up in Schaumburg, right?
Sure.
If I move, let's just say we said, hey, let's move to Schaumburg because it's 40 minutes away, no big deal, and it's got way more space. There would be a reptile show in that Tinley place within 5 minutes.
Sure.
Probably monthly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the problem. There's things that could be done that would be better for all of us, but there's jag-offs that would ruin it for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
There would be a show there 5 minutes after I moved.
I got you. So
we did Schaumburg almost as a space holder because somebody else would have rolled in there, and we'd have ours, they'd have theirs. They would start a second one, a third one, a fifth one, a 20th. There'd be 3 a month up there. Who knows? You know what I mean? It's just.
It is funny to me, Brian, that Schaumburg is such a beautiful location. And I've done stuff outside the Reptile show at that same spot. Yeah. We photographed like a cheer event and stuff there.
Yeah.
That hotel is great. The space is great. It's amazing to me that I don't want to say it's not success, but it's such a different success between that and Tinley. And I don't get how like the same people don't roll into Schaumburg because it's just, what a great place.
I would think that what my goal is and what we thought would happen at some point would be you'd have all the vendors from Tinley pretty much do Schaumburg. And then the door would be pretty much the same because it's 40 minutes away. Like you're going to go in March and then you'll be all bummed out because you have to wait till October. Well, just go in July and there you go. Now I get when inventory was low, when things were, there was those, through COVID, stuff was flying. It was hard to get inventory. I wonder now if with inventory levels being up, if Schaumburg will take a nice step up.
Do you wonder though, if like part of the issue with Schaumburg is that it is in between the two for like vendors side? Because like, I know like, when Andre and I talk about vending shows, if we're going to vend them, like taking the animals out a bunch, we don't like that aspect, right? Like, so the less shows, like the appeal of specifically like Tinley is it's the 2 big shows, right? March and October. I know those are the only time my animals are going to leave. And that's when people are going to show up because it's appointment viewing. Do you think maybe some of what hurts Schaumburg is the in-between state that it's in?
I think it's in July. I think that's the biggest problem is that any show in July is probably not the best time to do it. But I think with the success that we have in Tinley that we can grow that show to where it's not better than Tinley, but it's better than almost all the other shows.
Okay. Cool.
I think we can. We'll see. And like I said, I think with inventory levels being up, you're going to see all the shows do better, right?
Yeah.
Because vendors need shows more when they have more inventory than they do when during COVID it's just flying out the door no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
As far as your shows kind of rank, Brian, do you think or do you agree that it's like Tinley, Dallas, Schaumburg, St. Louis? Is that a fair rank?
Yeah, I would say that's exact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's right.
Well, I actually really enjoyed the St. Louis show. In some ways, it's kind of my favorite. It's at a great spot. I obviously like good dinners, and there's some really good dinners. And so I really enjoy St. Louis.
I'm 100% with you. Like, I really do think that's a solid show. And it has grown. I mean, each year, you know, 'cause obviously I see all the numbers and the door and vendors and response and all that. And, you know, the problem is we'll have a show like the first St. Louis, and somebody's going to go, man, this ain't nowhere near as good as Tinley. And I like look at him like, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah.
22 years, many of those years, 2 shows a year versus the first fucking show. No shit. Like, I mean, I don't know. Every day I'm blown away by the stupidity of humans. Like, I mean, right? I mean, you guys know. I mean, that's
I mean, and not just humans. You're dealing with reptile people who sometimes,
non-deodorant humans. So
there it is.
Well, I'll say this, and maybe I'll even upset some vendors, but I think your show success somewhat lands on us as well. Like, you could share a post for $5, and people are like, oh, there's not enough people through the door. Well, did you advertise that you were going to be there? Or like, no, that's the promoter's job. And while, yeah, that's partly true, I think it's partly true that we need to, you know, self-advertise, which then obviously makes the show busier for everybody. And so anyways, that's my thought.
Oh yeah, I love when I see vendors out there like Mike. God, I'm having a brain fart here. Mike, East Coast Mike. Used to work for Ian. Mike, help me out. Mike Schultz. The number one guy to call people out about going to a show, bitching about the show, calling people out for sitting on a chair behind there, looking at their phone with their head down, and they're the same guy that bitched about a show. And then 3 booths down is some other dude who's like a Mike who's popping and doing his thing and had a great show. And it's like, you know, and I'm not saying, believe me, there's a lot that rides on me and Bob to do things to make the show successful. We get it. But I also say all the time, we all share in the responsibility of making a show successful. If you guys hated Tinley and started talking shit on Tinley, you could ruin it in time. It would take you a little time, but you could do it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And then when I see a shitty promoter and like somebody calls that promoter out for like having an air conditioning guy, a window guy, a pool guy, and like, I mean, a lot of stuff like that, right? And then he's like, what do you want me to do? Just have empty tables? Cut down the amount of fucking shows you do in that area.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, those other shows that you have will do better. You're competing with yourself.
Sure. Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree there.
And I mean, crazy.
I mean, I think what you're describing is like just one of the biggest issues, though, we have in the reptile industry as a whole. And that is, there's a lot of people that breed and attempt to run a business that are very bad at business, right? And so in their mind, by just showing up and setting up a booth, well, I've done my job. Now the people need to buy from me, like, you know, blah, 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 blah.
Right. Yeah.
And that's not how it works at all. Like, you got to hustle. You got to put some effort into it. And now we have a new crop of individuals, a lot of which came in during COVID when things blew up. And now they're like, wait, things don't just immediately sell. I have to put effort in. And you're like, sorry, guys, like, this is tough. I know. I feel like we're a bunch of old boomers complaining right now, but it is what it is. So
we hustled for a long time.
Yeah. Back in my day, I had to shake 2 snakes up the hill.
You know what? All of us, no matter what, like, even if we're just going to Tinley to show off new projects and stuff, we are still, we're standing up the entire time. We're communicating with everyone that comes.
Oh my God.
Booth. Like, we're just the engagement, and the people that don't get that is
it's the joke, right? Like, what do I do every Tinley? I wander around with a fucking suitcase behind me, throwing lanyards at people and giving them t-shirts, right? Because that's part of the hustle. Like, Brian won't give me a table, so I just have a portable table. It's fine.
I got a $500 bill for you for handing that stuff out, by the way. I remind you.
Excellent. Oh. I'm so glad. It's finally happening.
That's fine. I'll take it. You know what? I don't care. I'll pay it. That's okay. You know what?
Kick him out.
That's okay, Brian. I'll take it. You know what? Send me the bill. I'll pay it. It's okay. It's worth it. It's worth it.
Look around, right? And, you know, Canova, I mean, you hear, but like, fuck, man. I mean, does anybody ever done it better than that? Anyone ever? I mean,
not yet.
Ozzy might be able to stand next to them as far as what they produce, But as far as the promotion, and Oz would probably say, "Hey, dummy, I don't need to go to shows. I don't need to be real." I don't know, I don't know what he would say about that, honestly. But Canova, to me, is the gold standard that came into a business and just made all the right moves to make themselves look good. Simple as that. Nobody's done it that good. And honestly, I mean, just from a website standpoint to a t-shirt standpoint, that the t-shirts are classy. I don't wear Reptile t-shirts. I don't wear my own Reptile t-shirts. I've never worn any NARBC shirt. I just don't like them. A couple Canova shirts I wear. I like them. I just
sounds like you need a best dressed ball shirt.
I was gonna say, Brian, I clearly missed giving you a Chimera shirt because you're gonna fall in love with our stuff.
I get a lot of shirts. I just don't wear them.
Yeah, but this Chimera is like, imagine a classy Canova. It's pretty great.
Oh, Canova.
Brian, how much do you think Chicago Reptile House is a part of Tinley's success?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I think it definitely helped. I think both help each other quite a bit, honestly, because I think obviously once the show ends and all the people in the area buy all their stuff, they have to feed it, they have to buy bedding, they have to buy cages, they have to buy heat tape, light bulbs, all that stuff. And obviously they don't wait until October to then rebuy it. They need stuff on the weekly. I think that helps me a ton over there. In the beginning, I think because I knew people and Bob knew people and we kind of knew sort of different people, we had different crowds that we kind of hung with. I was more like Pete Call and Dick Gergen back in the day and just a bunch of other guys that we called. That really helped to make the show. It was very easy for us to have all the names at our first show. It was very easy. We just called friends and they were like, "Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah." So once those guys signed up, everybody else was like, I'm in. Look at that,
Yeah. Awesome. It's you talked about Brian Barczyk and Lori. Rumor has it we may see Lori.
Lori's got a booth.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah, Lori. Steph is coming with her, who's her right hand woman, who's like just an amazing employee of theirs. That just like she's amazing. It's like a little clone of Lori. And then Jay Tingle's coming. I don't know beyond that who else is coming. I would assume Jay is cameraman is coming as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice. I hope that's a part of a healing for her and being around like-minded people and people that enjoyed Brian. So I certainly hope that's healing for her.
She's prepared for it. I said to her, "You better get ready." I go, "You're going to be a busy woman that weekend." I mean, everyone's going to be, it's going to be emotional. And I think it's good because I think Brian passing was very God, I don't want to say the wrong words here. I guess with the amount of time that we had going up to it, Lori and family and everybody, I can only imagine that they were literally planning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like planning, like legitimately, like, Brian obviously was always concerned about his family and their security moving forward. So obviously he was laying down, him and Lori planning and like it seemed, God, man, I don't want to say this, but methodical. It seemed that they had a very, very well put together business plan moving forward, knowing that Brian was going to pass.
Yeah.
And I think that's to be expected though, and I think that's totally normal in those circumstances for people to really start. You've got a plan for the future for your family.
Yeah, but I don't know how many people. You look around, you look at a lot of your friends, a lot of your associates in the industry. You think, what would they do? They'd fall apart. A lot of people would fall out. A lot of people could not continue. And like, there's no small operation up there. Legacy Aquarium is like humongous thing across the street, millions and millions and millions of dollars. The Reptarium is a huge undertaking, bunch of employees, a lot of things go on. The place is spotless. It's immaculate up there. Immaculate. It's clean. It's well run. There's children's programs. They have vans there. I mean, it's not a small operation. It's big. I mean, they're doing a lot of stuff up there, and they're phenomenal. They're doing phenomenal with it. It's going to be interesting to see Legacy, Brian's Brian's legacy come to life, and Lori and everybody else bloom in his absence, I guess, and take over.
Yeah, Robin and I were just on a podcast together a couple weeks ago. He was saying, I think last he talked to Lori, the aquarium might be opening up as soon as like April or soon, I believe is what he said.
I could see it in May for sure. I think April, May. Yeah. There was, and stuff going on up there like crazy. So, I was out of town for Brian's services, and the plan was for some of us to get together and kind of go up and see Lori right when the thing opened up, and kind of take it all in then, and really talk about everything. And it was such a whirl when it all kind of went down, because Brian just disappeared, right? And everybody was on the daily, everybody was wondering what's going on, and it's all been kind of surreal,
Yeah. Just tonight, Brian, I had a high school senior here at the studio, and kid doesn't own a reptile, doesn't know anything about reptiles, but knows who Brian Barczyk is, and asked me, hey, did you know this Brian? He passed away. And it's like, it's interesting to yeah, of course I know him, and so, yeah, it's interesting to see how far his reach really goes. And so, only continue. I hope that continues for, his family. And I think it's great that Lori will be at Tinley for the weekend. That's
they
really
will. They're looking forward. They're bringing some patches, and they got a bunch of other stuff. And yeah, speaking of that, Brian and I, Bob, all met in Chicago before Animal Con had happened the first time. And there's a hotel that I really like down there in the Triangle. And so my guy that always parks my car comes up to me and he goes, hey man, I know that guy. And he's looking at Barczyk, and I said, are you into reptiles? And he's like, that's who it is. He goes, he's that snake guy on TV. I knew I see him. I knew who he was. It was like, it kind of blew me away. And Bob, Bob's, like I said, no social media. He was blown away by it. He couldn't believe that, he had a reach, man. Whatever. Yeah.
And speaking of people with a big reach and stuff, you've had Ed and Emily at Tinley now and Dallas for the last couple of years. Can you kind of walk people through that?
I liken her to the Taylor Swift of the reptile industry.
There it is.
100%. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
She is, man. I told Brian and Lori, I said, I'm telling you, when they go somewhere, it's unlike any other influencer I've ever seen anywhere. And thinking about it, because I was trying to figure out what is going on. I really think she truly captures young girls. And I'm not saying not young boys at all, but there's a real connection with younger girls. And there were some parents in line in Dallas. Remember the Arlington fiasco?
Yes.
Yeah.
We do remember that. We weren't going to bring it up, but we remember.
I'll bring it up.
Since you brought it up.
Yeah.
So, but some of the vendors in there, it was funny, some were bitching about it and others were like, that was awesome. I got to talk to people as they slowly moved past in line my tables. And a set of parents came up to them and they said, we don't really like reptiles. We wish our kids really didn't like reptiles, but our kid is just fascinated with both of them, Ed and Emily both.
Yeah.
Watches their show, but really connects with Emily being a girl. And she said, it's been the greatest thing for our kids. They went on, and you could tell they were high quality parents. They were all their kids' lives. They knew what was going on. And the value that they placed on Ed and Emily in their kids' lives was really cool to see. I mean, really cool.
Yeah, I got to experience that once. Reptile Super Show, I had a couple kids come up to the table that recognized me from Ed and Emily's video. And they knew Ed and Emily were at the show, and they asked me where they were at. And I said, let me check. And so I called Emily, and she was like, we just left. We have to catch our flight. And I tell this two kids at my table that they had left. I mean, instant tears. Yeah. And you could just see how, they were so upset that they didn't get their opportunity to meet them. And at that point, it really kind of sinks in how much they mean to these kids.
They mean a lot. But I think part of the Ed and Emily thing, right, is they're so sincere. The first time I met them, they flew to Virginia to film a show with us, and I wasn't sure what to expect because I'd never met them, and what are these people going to be like, right? And two of the most honest, wholesome, kind humans the world has ever known, right?
They're in Minnesota.
It was 100%, right? And and that shows in the videos too, though. When you watch the videos, I think you get that same sense. And I think they're just, they are who they are. I think that's a great aspect for them.
Yeah, no, they're great. You just see those kids, and they're bouncing around when they come in the door in St. Louis, because I'm right there, so I can watch them all. And they generally are like, we have a question. I go, they're down there. They go, oh, we have a question, and I go, they're right down there.
That's great.
Funny.
Kids are just like literally vibrating off the floor,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think as a vendors listen, that you should thank Ed and Emily, because in my mind, they're really the future of, kids that'll turn 18 and 20 and 25, and they'll be buying their own reptiles and stuff. And so they're really our future, and they're putting the work in to help make it for us. And so if anything, I think we owe Ed and Emily a thank you. And I try to always make sure they hear that from us at least. So.
Yeah, no, I love having them. I hope it continues. As far as I know, there's no plan to not continue it. I think it's been great for them. It's great for us, you guys. I mean, yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it.
That's awesome. Yeah. What is something you wish you could add to one of your shows? Like, what's something that if you had the room or whatever you'd like to do differently?
I don't know. That's a tough one. We used to do the talks, obviously, and the new kids just don't want to. Now, if I could put Ed and Emily in a talk, it would be slammed full of kids, right? So
you'd fill up another convention center.
We could change it, right? We could go back to where talks are a thing, but you'd have to be using influencers to do them, because nobody wants to sit and listen to a really, really knowledgeable guy talk about geckos or snakes or tortoises or turtles. It just doesn't. I mean, I felt bad. We had great speakers. I'd go in the room, there'd be 3 people sitting in there.
So I actually gave a talk at the Arlington NARBC in 2013, 14, something like that. 2 people. And we were talking about like steak genetics and inheritability, and like all of that was actually the precursor to the work that we did for the ball python testing. No one gave a fuck.
No,
like literally no one.
It's like, now if I put Ed and Emily in there,
absolutely, it would be packed.
3 hours and listen to everything they have to say. So maybe what the answer is we were doing it wrong, and now we need to do it right and bring back talks and just have the right people talking. And I don't mean that disrespectfully towards anybody that was there, because there was amazing speakers all the time. People don't give a shit. Kids care.
That's no one care. Like, people want to show up to see the people that they look. It's the same thing as if you go to Comic-Con, right? There are certain celebrities there that get incredible pull. And then there's other celebrities there that get 0 pull, right? And they're still famous. They just don't get the same pull. It's because people are going to see who they want to see. Yeah. They're in the same way that, look, we had Justin on the podcast a few months ago, and he got a great pull. We got, fantastic numbers. And then Ed and Emily came on, and, things blew up, right? It's just different.
It's different.
And that's not because like Justin's bad. Obviously he's not. He's great, but it's different.
It's different. Yep. And honestly, really for the industry, let's just use Justin because you just talked about him. He's on it's fine, right? It's fine. He's going to talk about cool shit, and some of us nerds will geek out on some of the stuff.
Yeah.
It's fine. You put Ed and Emily on there, and 1 million kids sit there and listen to everything that's being said. They go buy what they were told to buy. They set up their tanks the way they were told to set them up. You know what I'm saying? Like that's changing something, right? For the better.
Yeah.
So maybe that's really where all the talks need to go, is influencers, that draw, and then putting the good word to them through them, so that there's a message that's being received.
I was just going to say, you're kind of doing that with Animal Con, right? Like you have Animal Con going where you have the influencers. Could it be a smaller version at Tinley? Maybe a, pre-Animal Con kind of thing?
Yeah, I believe me. We've internally had a couple discussions. At least Bob and I did. I don't know if we ever actually sat with Lori and Brian about it, but we thought about, what if you had Animal Con at Schaumburg, right? It could be 2 separate things, but at the same place, the same weekend. And people would want to hit both, right?
Yeah, I think that right there is the draw that brings people in. you bring all of the influencer in, you have that whole space set up for people, and then you also have vendors there at the exact same time. You get this big influx from the snake bite fans, the snake discovery fans, and then all of the vendors are going to want to be there because all of that, sloppy seconds, right, from the fan base.
I'm well aware of the shit talking that goes on influencers, right? Like, and some of it's deserved. I mean, there's some that deserve all of that. But what people need to realize, like, Brian used to catch a lot of shit back in the day, right? Brian Barczyk did more as a one-person band for the reptile industry than I would say anyone's ever done. Yeah. Was there problems? Was there things that he did wrong back in the day? Yeah. I saw the same things. And Brian saw them, and Brian came around, and Brian realized, and Brian changed his ways. But as far as putting asses in seats, right? No one even came close.
Yeah. No, and I think a lot of the shit talking is generally from people that are either jealousy or truly like a lack of understanding of like the long-term plan there, right? Like not understanding that, there is some negative that's brought to the table, right? You Brian, like back in the day, there were some negative issues that happened, and it is what it is. But at the same time, while those negative issues were happening, Brian was hitting audiences that people like us never could.
100%.
And when my mom, not even my mom, we have a new employee here who started, a year or so ago now. And like one of the first weeks here, she knows nothing about reptiles. She's literally here to just clean tubs. And she's like, hey, I saw this guy on TikTok called Brian Barczyk. Do you know who he is? And you're like, oh yeah, I know Brian. Like, yes. Yeah. And you're like, she's like, oh yeah, he's like cool stuff. And you're like, and you start like, Troy kind of talked about it earlier, but you start seeing the reach that these people had. Ed and Emily, the same thing. I found out about Ed and Emily, not from reptile people, but people in my laboratory I was working in. And one of the girls was like, hey, you're into snakes. Like, have you ever heard of these people? I'm like, nope. And then you find out like, they're a big deal, but it's like, you don't appreciate the positive impact that has on the industry as a whole. And I don't think people are good at seeing long-term those benefits either.
Yeah, the industry, there's a lot of small-minded people in the reptile industry that don't look at the big picture. And Ed and Emily now are, I mean, the reach that they have, the amount of, she's Taylor Swift of the reptile industry.
Does that mean that Ed is Travis Kelce? Because they have a similar body type, so it makes sense.
Yeah, very similar. I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're all in agreement there.
And I was going to say, I didn't know which Kelce he was, right? Which brother he was.
I'm going to give him Travis. We'll be nice.
The third brother, like the Mannings have.
Yes, exactly.
I love that. He's the Cooper of the group. Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
No, those guys are pulling. I mean, it'll be interesting to see down the road just how powerful they become.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not even like they're sticking with YouTube, right? Like they talked about on our show, they're expanding, and now they've had this, 4,000 square foot facility for breeding hognose, right? So as you said, in like 5 years, hognose are going to be a problem, and it's entirely because of Ed and Emily. So thanks, guys.
Blame it on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Blame it on them. All of the like 12-year-olds that are going to start breeding now and at 18 are going to be like, Brian, can we get a table? And you're like, why are there 10,000 hognose at my show?
Right. Yep.
I love it so much. Yeah, it's cool. There's a lot of dynamics that I don't think enough people think about with the show aspect, right? Like it kind of goes back to like keeping it spread out, but even like the stuff of having like Ed and Emily there, right? Like that's a logistical nightmare. Actually, occasionally find out.
Yeah, that one show in Arlington, man. Oh man, I was just shitting myself because I knew, like, I saw the problem. I could clearly see it. You know what I mean? But there was no turning it back. There was like, what am I going to do? Tell people, yeah, I know you waited for an hour. Get the fuck out. You're in the way of these people over here. Like, there was nothing I could do. There was nowhere. It was just, man.
I loved it.
I did too. I walked to the back of the show and I like pulled Ed aside. I'm like, hey, y'all know tomorrow's going to be a problem, right? And he's like, oh yeah, we've let people know, but I don't know if they realize how much of a problem it's going to be.
No.
And then it happened.
Oh, it was brutal, man. My ass was puckered up. I was just like, what am I going to do, man? There was nothing. It was like the spill already happened. I couldn't clean it up. Like, what are you going to do? I kept looking at everybody, going, sorry.
Yeah. It made for some good entertainment, at least from for me and Joe and for JD at our table.
Oh my God,
we certainly had some good laughs about it too, like watching people.
Yeah.
It's
cool. It's a really cool part of our industry, and I think it's probably the most exciting part as far as what that's going to do for us for numbers and for maybe kids that are growing up thinking differently, getting off the couch, buying reptiles. Obviously pets in general. It's just not a cool thing anymore, right? For kids mostly. Yeah. I mean, most kids just rather have the video game of it.
It's fair.
So all those people that they're touching, that's keeping all of us in business,
Yeah.
Brian, with Tinley's, obviously a huge success. Is there any thought to having a third Tinley in the year?
No. I mean, the reason we did 2, once again, was us going like that, keeping people out, we were always fearful of like somebody popping up a show in Schaumburg, or let's say we didn't do 2 Tinleys, maybe even try and negotiate with them to do, hey, we're going to do 2 or 3 here a year, and maybe we get kicked out of there, I'm saying, type thing. Or it's just such a whorish thing that like no one cares, and the vendors don't seem to have a problem with just jumping right on, and you know what I mean? Like most vendors, it doesn't seem like they can understand you can go to one little geographic area once or twice a year where there's going to be a quality product, or 6 times or 8 times or 12 times a year to a shit show. And they will just go and pray that that's going to be the great one.
But
I don't know.
That goes back to the quality of the people in the industry when it comes to business, right? Like a lot
I
of
would love to sit down with a bunch of vendors. I mean, a big chunk. You could never do this, but sit down and everybody says, all right, let's divide this thing up. This one is here. This one's good over here. That one's good over there. We ain't doing no other ones unless becomes a problem with the ones we're doing. Like, I'm not saying, like, if I start fucking up and you guys aren't happy with what I'm doing, boot me out and go to somebody else's show in my area and sink me. But if I'm doing the opposite of that, I'm making you happy and I'm doing the right things, help build it. Let's sink all the other ones. I mean,
yeah. Brian, I don't think I'm going to say anything here that you don't already know. But obviously, there's people that there's vendors or people that speak somewhat poorly about St. Louis, and within that circles of conversations. Not that I'm trying to praise myself here, but like I try to remind vendors too, like it's new, right? There are a ton of shows in the area, but if we continue to try to draw the people to your one big show, we can only make it more successful. And 100%. So I think you're on to something. It would be nice if you guys could all get together and, hey man, we don't need 47 shows or something in one area, right? Like, but I think for like you guys, to come into an area like St. Louis that in Missouri that does have, maybe a lot of shows or what people assume is a lot of shows, and put on the show that you do, I think is phenomenal.
What I just wish that vendors would see what's going on there. It's grown every show we've had has grown at a double-digit percentage. And if that's the case, then who's really supportive and is really good about the geographic things? Bob Vu. He's always very vocal about, like, we want one here. We want to go to one in that area. We want to go to one over there. And he will cut out ones that are not, And it's like, if I could get more people to think like that, it would be better for all of us. And I'm not trying, it's not me trying to put any single one vendor, or I'm sorry, one promoter down or anything. I'm just saying, as a business decision, what's good for me is good for all of you too. I mean, either 8 shows or 1. What costs less, 1 or 8?
Yeah. I think there's this delicate struggle, right? Like, I look at you guys, the promoters, y'all are selling the pickaxes in the gold rush. All of us vendors, we're the ones mining the gold. And so I think even from the promoter side, right, even if it's mildly profitable, they don't care. Like, whatever, they made some money. And it is more, that's the problem, right?
Part of the problem in our industry is a lot of people go to a show to not lose too much.
Yes, there it is. That's it.
Drink beers, eat pizza, not lose too much.
It's an excuse for a mini vacation. And look, there's there's probably a fairly large, crossover between like gamblers and reptile people.
Yeah.
And like they're willing to risk it all for that show. They're like, this is the one. This is the one. Oh, I lost $10,000. Don't care. The next one I'm going to make my money, right? So I think that all enables the promoters to keep selling their pickaxes, and even if it's, like I said, moderately profitable.
Couldn't agree anymore. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, and I think as a vendor, and Patrick, Chase, you guys have heard me say this before. Really, to me, it shouldn't really necessarily be about the dollars we make at a show. Those shows are for us to, really put on the marketing value of who we are, what our animals are. Exactly. And Brian, you're right? Like I hear all the time, like, oh, I sold enough to make my table cost, and I'm always like, God, what like a shit attitude, like I would rather lose the money I spent to be there, but know that I met quality people and hopefully have sales come in after the fact, than think like, oh, at least I made my table money. Like,
yeah, because that table is your billboard. Like that is you. Like, hey, this is
I'm not trying to. Certainly not trying to throw rocks at anybody that thinks that way. But I think changing your mindset to think about a show being a marketing standpoint is a better way to think about it.
But do you think that comes from like, so that viewpoint I agree with wholeheartedly, but also I know, Troy, you go to other like vendor shows, right? Like SHOT Show and other big shows where they don't sell shit, right? Like for anybody that doesn't know, like SHOT Show is a big gun show. They don't sell anything at the shows. You go to see shit.
They don't sell anything.
No guns are sold there, but the most incredible stuff there is to show off.
$1 million booths, $1 million, $500,000 booths,
right?
And they're there to promote themselves, and that's the thing. And I get it. Look, I also do get that running around doing shows, making no money for a lot of people isn't a feasible thing. There's a lot of people in business, in the reptile business, that shouldn't be in business.
I would argue there's a lot of people that don't actually have businesses, right? They have hobbies that they think is a business.
That Troy was just trying to make was that, they don't get that. They never even thought that, like, oh my God, you know what? Like, if we come here, roughly break even, plus or minus, hang out with our friends, have a good time, and meet maybe 20 new people who see our stuff, see what kind of human we are, and are like, I would send that guy money over the internet and know that the snake I'm going to get is going to be a quality animal. I can just tell him I hang out with them. And you just gain 20 new guys. And next year, when you start producing some nice stuff, it's just all that guy. Hey, met you last year, Tinley, Dallas, whatever it was, and you're selling stuff,
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, as a business, you have to make money to keep going, right? So there's a fine line between what I'm saying as far as looking at a show from a marketing standpoint. But I hope that if you treat it as a marketing standpoint, right, dollars come in after the fact. So I don't care if I make my dollars at the show or a week or whatever later. I think too many people get hung up on what did I make Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
Yeah. But I would argue, Troy, that it's less in my mind, right? Like if I'm going to go vend, if I'm going to go to October Tinley, I don't give $2 if I make a penny, because I know that I'm bringing the best stuff on the planet, and there's one or two other people on the ball python world that are going to have anything close to what I have. And I'm okay with that. I'm not going to go to 15 shows with that same mindset. And so I think there also needs to be a difference in that situation too. And I do think that's part of the appeal for why people go to October Tinley, and that has become like the mecca for especially ball python people, right?
For ball python people, for sure.
Right. We bring the bangers there, and that's what we're showing off. And I think a lot of people, though, they have that mentality of, if I'm just marketing, it's okay to lose money, but they're going to 20 shows throughout the year, and that's the problem.
You can't do that.
You can't do that.
There's one SHOT Show a year.
Right. That's exactly the analogy. There's one SHOT Show a year. There's one ABN a year. God, it's great. I
think that there's something to be said about everybody kind of kicking back this year and thinking about what they're doing, and really looking at things a little differently. It's not a gold rush anymore. You know what I mean? So you're gonna have to be a little bit smarter about what you do and how you do it.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think we're going to see a pretty big pullback over the next couple of years, just in the industry as a whole. From on the breeder side, I think, and this is probably most industries, but the top 10, 15% are going to be perfectly fine. Like they're not going to really see. But, the people that got in at 2019, 2020, 2021, there's going to be a big pullback. And I think there's going to be a real quick realization, like you said, the gold rush kind of over. you know, if you found your mine and you're mining it and you're doing well, that's great. But if you didn't, and it's gonna be tough, and it's gonna be bloody, you know. And I'm worried.
During COVID, you should have fattened up your
Well,
stockpiles and
yeah,
paid off some debt and solidified your company really good in there. And
yeah,
because the Chinese aren't buying that shit up like they were.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So, and pretty soon, guess who's going to want to start shipping their shit here? The Chinese.
Yeah.
Wait till all the colubrids start coming from China here.
Well, I mean, can corn snakes get any cheaper? That's the real question here.
That's the Chinese. I bet they can.
They're going to be like, we genetically modified this one. It cost us 27 cents to produce. We will sell it on Wish and Temu for 28 cents.
You joke about it.
No, I'm not joking. It's real.
It's real. It's funny, man. It's going to be, remember when Mexican Black Kings were 350, 3.25, 300?
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to get that Mexican border open for reptile shipping, man. So we have another outlet.
Oh, geez, that's a whole story. Do you guys know about that? Like with somebody that went down there, set up a facility.
Oh
yeah.
I mean, we know about it, but feel free to tell the story. I mean, that's what we're here for. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to get people in trouble.
I was going to say we're just going to let you get in trouble.
That building's in full use now. Whole different thing, but
yeah.
I have had a couple messages. Patrick and I have talked about this. I've had a couple messages on like Morph Market where it's like, "Hey, can you ship it to Mexico?" No. Can you ship it to Texas? No. I don't know if I really want to do that now.
Yeah. My answer to that question is always, I can, but is it going to get into Mexico? And if they're smart enough to say no, then they can have the snake.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Yeah.
I did have one person who they were full on like committed to the felony apparently, and they're like, no, it's fine. I have a border person that I pay that we can get it across. I was like, I can't ship you a snake. I'm sorry. I'm not going to prison for this.
I definitely don't want the Fed showing up at my door over that.
No, like we're already so cautious on that stuff. And then homeboy's just like, I have a guy, and I'm like, I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll take 5 keys to blow the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Please send it the other way. It's perfectly fine. We'll do just fine here. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
I love our industry. It's so great. It is. But one of the great things, like, we joke and all that. Like, I love the hodgepodge of people though we do get in our industry, right? And the Reptile show is beautiful. That you have the best of the best and the worst of the worst all intermingling together because we like these weird scaled cold-blooded creatures. And it's
like a mini Vegas when it comes to people watching, right?
Yeah,
like you get all
it really
kinds.
Is.
Yeah, it's a true melting pot, kind of like the Taco Bell drive-through at 2 a.m. Like you're gonna have everyone.
Oh my god!
There.
You're gonna have a beat up Honda Accord and a Mercedes G-Wagon.
Yeah.
Yes. I
My
love
girlfriend's
that.
dad went to Tinley last Tinley for the first time ever. He had never. They saw the store, but they couldn't figure me out really. Like they're just like, they hear Reptile this, Reptile that, this guy, that guy. Oh, this guy just built a place in Naples. He's got a house in Key West. This guy's, whatever stories. I'm just talking right about just regular stuff.
I like the humble brag, by the way, about the Naples house. It's good.
What's that?
I like the humble brag. That was good. You subtly dropped the Naples house. It's good.
Not me.
Oh! I thought that was you. I'm sorry.
No, not me. No.
I was like, turns out the NARBC's real profitable, boys.
No. In conversation, they'll hear me. Oh, my friend just built a house in Naples.
I got you. Okay, I'm sorry.
All these different things I'm talking about my friends, right?
Okay.
Whatever. And so they're like, they just can't figure it out because who the fuck buys reptiles? Nobody, right? I mean, that's what when you talk to non-reptile people, they think like there's 7 of us, And so he comes to Tinley in October. She brings him, and he was like fucking mind blown.
Yeah,
mind blown. He's walking around, he's looking at prices, and he was just, he could not believe it, And it's cool to still see that. Like I still love that when somebody comes there first time, whatever, and they're just totally mind blown by it. I'm like, God, I remember when I felt like that.
Yeah, one of my best friends, it was October Tinley in 2019, right before COVID, and we kidnapped him. He was living in Columbus, and we were driving from Virginia, and I kidnapped him halfway there. And I was like, "Hey, you're coming. Like, I want you to see this. This is what my life is. I want you to see it." And I remember him being like, he didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal, right? Like, he really didn't believe it. And then we get there, and all of a sudden, like, he saw everything, right? He sees the money being thrown down on the tables and the animals, and he's like, I get it now. Like, holy shit. Like, this is not a small niche thing like I thought. This is a big fucking deal. I'm like, yeah, it is, man. Like, this is how we make a living, and this is why we can do this, right? It's incredible.
It is cool. So many like famous people that have, run through this.
Yeah.
The shows and my store and friend, stuff that I hear from you guys, different people.
Yeah.
I dealt with this guy and this guy and that guy. And, Barczyk had just up at his place not too long ago. Who was it? Wide receiver, I think, from the Lions.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
You guys see that at all?
No, that's cool though.
Yeah, he got involved, and there's a couple other people that want to like throw in money on legacy, I guess. There's some players that
that's cool.
Wow.
There's some really cool stuff going on with that.
That's awesome.
Announcements coming out, but
yeah,
the amount of like famous people that dabble in what we do is really cool.
Who's the most famous person you've had come through the Reptile House?
I did a deal with Slash years and years and years ago.
Okay,
we became friends.
That's fucking cool.
A buddy of mine from high school ended up going out with one night and somehow hooking up with him at a venue and talking. And so I get a call the next day, and he's like, Brian, he's like, I want to give Slash a snake. I go, first of all, there's nothing you can afford that's going to impress him. I go, so like, I don't know what, and then I knew he had just been over, where was he at? What was it? Oh, it was a sand boa. I had some Indian sand boas. I said, he might think this is kind of cool, actually. I said, give him this. And this is long ago, right? Long ago. And so he gives it to him. And all of a sudden, the next day I'm at my house, and just to give you an idea of the time frame it was, the answering machine picked up, and I hear a voice. Hey, Brian, this is Slash. I met this guy last night. And I'm like, grab the phone. Hey, what's up, bro? And he's like, yeah, I want to pair it up. And I'm like, I have it. I have another one. It was a pair, but I just didn't think, So he's like, oh, man, I'd really like to get it. I said, where are you right now? He goes, I'm at my hotel, but we're leaving to go to the airport. I said, you go flying out of O'Hare? He's like, yeah. This is pre 9/11 and all that shit.
When you could sneak planes on a plane. I love that.
So I go, where are you? He goes, we're on American flying back to LA. I said, I'll be there. So I fucking jump in my, at the time, Delta 88 with fucking shocks that are out on the left side, leaning down like that. Blazing up 294 in the passing people in the median, on 294 going up to O'Hare, fucking flying, man. I'm like, I'm meeting fucking Slash today. I'm not looking for cops. I'm flying. So I got the snake in a little sock. I pull up where we used to go into Delta Cargo, Delta Dash back in the day.
Yeah.
So I go in through there, and I just go upstairs because you can just go to people, meet people at the plane, Like there's no thing, So I run up through there. I actually crashed the Home Alone 2 movie set. I ran through it. So this is 100% true story.
Dude, I love this.
They're all like, cut. I fly through there. I turn, I go down, I go all the way to the far end. I'm like just about to have a fucking grabber trying to get there. I got the sock in my underwear with snake in it. I get down there, I see some dudes. I go, hey, I'm like, did you by any chance see Slash? And they go, yeah, he's down there. So I turn around, I go back down to the bar. I walk in the bar, and as I'm just about to walk in, his guitar tech comes out, sees me. I look at him, pretty obvious who he was with. So I see him. He's like, he grabs me. We sit down at the bar. Me / guitar tech. We're hanging. I'm breathing. He's got his arm around me. He's like, dude, you all right? I'm like, fuck, man, I just ran down the whole through the whole airport here. So I pull it out. I go, where do you want me to put it? And he goes, this is the best part. He goes, in the hat. The fucking top hat is sitting on the bar upside down.
Stop it.
He has a book laid on top of it. He picks up the book. I put the sock in the top hat, puts the book back down. He slides it over. He looks at the TV. He goes, hold on. He goes, it was a Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee getting divorced story on like whatever the TV show was. He goes, hold on a second. He goes, I want to see this. I want to see this. He goes, we're always getting married, divorced. He goes, let me see this. So he looks real quick, and then he comes back to me. It was like just the craziest day.
Dude, that's amazing.
That's so cool.
Dude, I love that so much.
Here's my phone number. He's like, call me, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I started buying crested geckos from him back when like nobody had crested geckos. He was breeding crested geckos. He had this guy, he had a guy taking care of his shit. I can't think of his name, but he ended up stealing. So Slash went out of town one time and he ripped off Slash's house. It's like, people are so stupid.
Yeah, wow. Like why would you like that? That once again, short-sighted, right? They're just short-sighted.
You have the keys to Slash's house. You're taking care of all of his shit. Like, you have a pretty good gig going.
Yeah.
You rip off, you know. So anyway, so that was that. But that was probably my most famous story.
Dude, that's fucking.
That's an awesome one though. You get to put a snake in Slash's hat.
That's pretty cool.
Come on, man. That is.
I go, where do you want it? You know, and he goes, and I didn't even. I was so enamored of looking at him. You know, he's like, in the hat, and I was like, fuck.
In the hat.
That's great.
That is amazing. I love that so much.
Yeah. Good shit.
Dude.
That's good.
Do you guys get a lot of foot traffic in Chicago Reptile House during the Tinley weekends? Just because like
we do. Yeah, we do. Yeah, a lot of people come through that are from out of town and stuff, check it out. It's, you know, like I tell people all the time, they're like, I go, you're not gonna be, it's not for you. You know what I'm saying? It's not for you guys, right? It's for the people that Ed and Emily impress. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they come blown away, right? But like,
I always went in there after Tinley's like 13, 14 years ago. I would always go with Tinley. My dad and I would go over there, and like I bought my first incubator from you guys at Chicago Reptile House way back in the day.
It's just not like the stuff that would impress you guys doesn't sell. It would just sit there, and my margin would be tiny. You know what I'm saying? Like selling womas and blackheads, and you know, through the years we didn't have that stuff. Every once in a while we get one in for somebody or something, but that's not just, it's just, you don't make money on that stuff. That's not, when you're running a retail store, that's not what you want. So when people are like, oh, I want to go see your store, I'm like, dude, you're not going to be like, you know,
I think it's still an iconic place to go visit, right? Like,
like the owner, you know, you're always worried, like you're going to send guys over there and be like, oh, dude, like, there's no $30,000 ball python. Yeah,
but like, I don't know. I guess for me, like a site like that, it's iconic for the reptile industry. In the same way, like if anybody ever gets the chance to see the Mona Lisa, it's not exciting to see, guys. It's a tiny fucking painting. It's not impressive, but it's still fucking iconic, right? Like you're seeing the Mona Lisa. In my mind, like I'm not saying that like the Chicago isn't impressive. It's different. It's not $20,000 ball pythons or whatever, obviously, but it's still an iconic space.
Crazy shit, you know, and it's like that's not what it is. You know, it's a really solid reptile store where if you need heat tape or you need incubators or you need brace cages or exoterras or zoom heads, I have all of that shit in stock all the time, you know? So like if you're a nerd and you need stuff, you can go there and get all the stuff you need. Frozen roads, we have everything in stock, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of everything.
Yeah, Lisa and I used to plan like our vacations around seeing pet stores. So like our honeymoon 20 some odd years ago, 26 years ago, where it's been, we went to St. Louis and all we did was look at the yellow pages for you kids that don't know what the yellow pages are. Phone book. And yeah, you know, and so same thing. We went to Chicago one weekend and it was really just see your store, you know, and so it's neat, right? And me and Joe talk about that a lot from JSA, like going to towns and trying to find pet stores, you know, mom and pop pet stores.
It's the best, isn't it? That's the best. Yeah. I remember when I was first started dating my wife when I was like 17 years old, Jesus. And like, we went into Dallas and I was like, hey, I just want to go see reptiles. So we spent the whole day just going to like 20 different fucking pet stores. And it was the best thing in the world, man. It's like, I love it. So I think,
even back in the day, like going to Tinley or any reptile show at that time, like, Lisa would do like one loop and then she's like done and I could just go back and forth. And now like being a vendor, you can see those people, right? Like I know who's the Troy, like I see him come past my booth 13 times, you know? And, so yeah, it's neat. Like, but it's definitely a different feeling being, you know, on one side of the table versus the other.
Oh yeah. When I was in the Marine Corps, we used to drive up to Jay's place, you know, Brewer.
Go
to Prehistoric Pets, which is to me probably the nicest pet store as far as a reptile store I've ever been in. I mean, if you're a kid, 20-foot, 25-foot retics, huge alligator pond, huge turtle pond, giant snapping turtle. I mean, it's amazing.
It's a zoo, right? Yeah.
It is, yeah. It's better than a zoo.
Yeah. Lisa and I had a pet store. So we ran a pet store of our own for about 4 years before our son was born. And so we got to, it was fun to go see other stores, and then, what can I bring back to my store that they're doing? And now you don't see that many, mom and pop type, stores, unfortunately, but it is neat to still see them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Brian, really quick too, like outside of all the reptile stuff, and you brought up the military, man, I've don't know you really well, but we've had a couple conversations, and I've certainly seen you on a US ARC stage, emotional, about Brian and things like that. I think people see you as a show promoter, and you're a big guy, you're a military guy. Can we talk? You post a lot about helping veterans and stuff. How did you become like that guy that people turn to in a time of need?
It's funny. So my girlfriend works for the VA. And so I think that both her and I get a really big kick out of it. Somebody will post underneath my post like, oh, man, you're such an amazing man for doing what you do. And it's all really just me going on Facebook, getting stuff to give to her to go do this. And so they're like, you're so amazing what you do, And so I'll come home and I'll walk in out. She's like, you're so amazing what you do with your veterans. Oh my God, I'm so happy to know you, and I'm just start cracking up, and I go, yeah, I got to take care of my people. And it's
love that.
I'm just doing that because I have a voice and getting the stuff for her. So what she does is she works for the VA with homeless veterans. And so she goes out sometimes on the streets, sometimes they come to the hospital, whatever it may be. And what she'll do with these guys, a lot of these guys are really down and out, is she'll basically take their finances, figure out what their bills are, figure out what income they have, make sure that they're service connected with the VA and get them what they need to get, help them navigate that whole process and get them set up, get them an apartment and temporary housing for they'll pay sometimes 12 months, 18 months, let them get on their feet, and then hopefully transition them back to a regular, normal life. And so when I'm looking for that stuff, whenever I'm doing that, it's really, she's got a guy that they just moved into a place, and it's like people are like, well, what does he need? I go, well, if I took you off of living under a bridge and gave you an apartment that's nothing's in it, what would you need?
Yeah.
Everything. And so that's what that is. It's really not me. I'm just running my mouth getting stuff. But
no, I think that's really awesome that you can use your voice for that, and certainly applaud you for that. My dad's a veteran. He's got me involved with Honor Flight, where we take veterans out to DC, and it's, I've always had this great respect for veterans, but when you really get to spend that kind of time with them and hear their stories, especially when you talk to ones like you're talking about that have had a really hard time, it's a totally different deal. And so applaud your girlfriend as well, man. What a great deal she does, and neat deal.
It's really cool, man. My Marine Corps buddies that I'm still tight with, about, I don't know, there's probably about 5 of us that really connect on a regular basis, probably about 15 on a somewhat regular basis. And it's just such it's a way different. You know how I like to bust balls? You ain't seen nothing. We get around and it's unbelievable. It's just thrashing of each other.
Yeah. What's funny, Brian, about that is, being on the plane and on the buses and stuff. And if I've been on it with guys from World War II and through Korea War and the Korean War, and now some guys from Vietnam. And man, to hear those guys, even those guys that were in their late 90s, just busting people, it was such a good, it's so funny.
You don't ever pay a compliment ever to anyone. Never. You just completely tear them down and bust their ball. That's all you do nonstop. It's fucking great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I carry it over, and I don't know if, I got my haters, and I'm sure it's just, I think I'm misunderstood. I'm misunderstood.
Please say that at the next auction. That
that is,
I'm just misunderstood.
Yeah, you as a former military guy, and JT is a former military guy. In case he listens to this, which one of you would win in a fight?
JT.
I was hoping you'd say yourself.
JT's kind of a pussy.
Sure.
I don't think so.
I would just shoot him.
Yeah.
I would shoot him long range before we even had that option.
Problem solved. See?
JT, you know what? I paid JT a compliment one time, and I didn't know it was a compliment to him because I didn't. He said something about being an officer, and I go, "You were an officer?" I said, "I had no idea." I said, "I never would have guessed that." And he's like, "Hey, man, I really appreciate that." And that did mean something, because really, that's nobody really compliments officers. You just don't. You know, they're usually dicks. A lot of times they're dicks. There's some great ones, but there's a lot of dicks. And so it was funny that when I said that to him, how he took it in such a good way. You know, that he understood that. It was a respect I was paying to him that I didn't think he was an officer.
Yeah.
How long did you serve?
4 years, just 4.
Okay.
So when I was in the Marine Corps, I wandered into Reptile Haven, which was in Escondido, California at the time. And I knew what I was doing. I was like, boom, that's it. I was like, I'm opening up a reptile shop. There was nothing was stopping me. I knew 100% that's what I was doing. My business partner, Jeff Ladico, who I'm partners with to this day, that's 32 years now, I think. He basically was out on a ship right after Desert Storm, Desert Shield and all that, came in my room, and I had a bunch of shit in my room. And then every Thursday night we would take it and we'd put it in my Volkswagen Squareback outside. Friday morning inspection, they would leave and walk back to my Squareback and bring everything back in my room. And so he comes in my room and sees all the shit and he's like blown away by it. And next thing you know, we're planning a shop and the whole thing.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of all how it happened, really.
Brian, one other thing I wanted to ask you tonight is, you know, your mom is at Tinley at the auction a lot, if I remember right. You know, most of them, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
What's
great.
it take to get your mom up on stage and like each time she gets to share like one Brian story?
Dude, like I'm like tearing up. She loves that shit. Like I can't even tell you how much like she's in her fucking glory at the auction when she can like, you know, it's like the whole. She likes the funny stuff, right? But obviously, there's been a lot of moments we've all shared that have been deep. You know, whether it's Brian or Joe Hupp or any of the other stuff that she's seen go on there, and I think it makes him very proud. You know.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And now I know your mom is there. Is your dad there as well, or?
He has been in the past. My old man's getting old. He's 83. He's got a lot of pain in his back and stuff. So he don't make it out much. I'm hoping I'll get him there this time for a little bit. So
yeah.
Okay. See. Yeah, my dad turns 87 at the end of the month, and I want him to come to I want him to come to Tinley. Like I want him to see it because he doesn't understand it. He doesn't get it, and I want him to see it.
Man. Because I think it makes them so when they realize that like you're not just a fucking reptile nerd kid, and it's a real thing. It's a real industry. That we're doing great things, you know, on the humanitarian side for each other, always looking out, you know, if anybody's in need ever, the reptile community always comes together. And, you know, I think parents, you know, I mean, you see your kids do that. I mean, you know, what's better than that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See your kid be successful, a good human, you know, and I think we show all of that at that, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That is the amazing thing about how in times of need, like the community just comes together and does amazing things.
Well, you certainly know that firsthand, Chase, and I know how thankful you are for it, but you're obviously a prime example of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's been, those moments are amazing, man. Like, I mean, you know, I look at all the funny stuff that's happened, all the sad stuff that's happened, all the moments of everybody stepping up for each other. Just been amazing, man. It's been an amazing run, you know, just like, could not be more proud of all of that, like of how the amount of money that, you know, we all put up and raised for USARK or for somebody. It's just been, man, it's just amazing. I mean, you think about that. You know, there was a Chicago Bear. Do you remember that when, who was that? Do you remember when Freedom Reader brought in?
When they were in this middle section. Who was that guy's name?
Was it? I always say, is it Gail Sayers, right? Or am I wrong?
Yes.
He came up to me.
Name rings a bell.
At the end of the thing, and he comes up and he shakes my hand, right? And he goes, well, first of all, the guy, his NFL handler guy was a fucking douchebag.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you guys got to calm down, or trying to say, I was like, dude, you can get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't really give a shit about you. Fuck the NFL.
Yeah.
Get out. You know, I don't care. Not to Gail or whoever the Bear was.
Handle it. Yeah.
And he goes, and he was like, awesome. Well, so the thing ends, he comes up to me, puts his hand out and goes, that was amazing. He goes, I've been to a ton of NFL events for charitable causes greater than what you're doing, and we didn't raise 10% of that money.
Yeah.
He goes, you guys are amazing. He goes, we should auction off the word fuck next time, though. He goes, we make a lot of money. we were dying, man. It was basically what he was saying, and what I was proud about is that we, as the reptile industry, basically blew away what he saw with a bunch of millionaires.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's cool.
It's cool for all of us, right? I mean, we all do that. And, he basically said a bunch of millionaires got together and they don't do that. They're not helping each other. Mike Ditka put out a call to every owner in the NFL one year. He wanted $1 million from each owner to take care of the last few guys that had no money. He got one check for $10,000.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. We do more than that at fucking every single auction.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Money. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
Amazing.
And you have some key people at these auctions, and one that rings a bell for me is Todd from Timberline, and I got the chance. I vended right next to Todd at St. Louis, and I was telling him it's inspiring, for any of us, I would hope, to watch a guy like him, come in and donate tens of thousands of dollars. Like, I think any one of us on this chat would like to be able to do that, and obviously not all of us can do that, and but it gives you something to strive for, watching him do it countless times. And so hats off to guys like him.
Todd Goodman has been completely amazing. It's unreal to me that a lot of people that buy crickets weekly, for their businesses, shop for the cheapest possible box of crickets and do not consider at all that if you spend $10 more per week or $20 more per week, you'll still be fine, and you'll be supporting the guy that's supporting you and allowing you to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
That has always been my biggest statement for like JT with Reptile. I don't care if it's 60% more expensive. I'm buying Reptile because JT puts back in the industry and takes care of us, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
It doesn't fucking matter how much extra it costs in the grand scheme of things.
That's all the stuff that like I almost wish like there was a Thursday night where we could all be in an auditorium and I could get up on stage and like, hey, let's have a talk, guys, amongst friends, business associates. Let's bring some things up that I want everybody to think about. That would be one of them right there. Like, you should be buying your crickets from Timberline, point blank. He's doing more for the industry than most anyone. He's doing that at our auctions. He's doing it out at Super Show. He's doing it down at Global and all these other, he's a supporter of the industry. Like, you can get Joe Blow crickets to $3 less a box. You're buying 3 boxes a week. It's $9.
It doesn't matter. It does. To the point earlier about, we come there and we have the opportunity to make money. Todd comes there and they give away thousands of crickets and thousands of dollars to, US Ark and things. So you would wish that, everybody would be picking up the phone for him. Like, that's they do a phenomenal job.
And I'm not trying to downplay any of the other cricket farms, but
sure, everyone
sees who's doing what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, Todd's stepping up, and we're lucky to have him and proud to have him as a sponsor and a friend. And it's just been an amazing run,
Yeah, that's awesome. I know Patrick's probably going to wrap us up pretty shortly, but if I could ask you one last thing, what would be your tip to vendors coming into Tinley this weekend?
Oh boy, look around. I would say if you're at your table and you're not doing well, I would walk around and see who is doing well, and just try to pick up some tips and look at what they're doing. If you're sitting down on your phone looking down all weekend and you're not standing up, extending a hand, letting people hold stuff, engaging the customers, then maybe think about doing it. You're doing it wrong. You know what I mean? It's you're gonna have to work for it. It's not gonna get easier. It's gonna get harder for the next couple years here.
And to Brian's answer, for everybody listening, you're not allowed to walk around and find a guy in a fancy coat and do what he's doing because he's already doing that. So leave your fancy coats at home.
That's right. October, everybody's going to be dressed like you.
That's unfortunate. I just ordered it.
Yeah. I think we're all going to be wearing tie-dye next weekend, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
We're all going to be tie-dyed. It's going to be good.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's tie-dye. So got a new hoodie. All of the Chimera gear is all tie-dyed. It's gonna be fun, guys.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Is the purple out, right?
What's that?
Yeah.
Purple out at Tinley, you wear?
Oh no.
Bar checks.
Oh.
I
No, I
posted
didn't.
it up on our page. I sent it out. Let me. I'll get it posted up again a few more times.
Yeah, if you post it, we'll share it as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
I just knew the Ed and Emily thing was the tie-dye.
Yeah,
So we're doing the
Warriors are gonna
purple.
purple out.
Okay.
They're gonna light it up purple, the whole thing in support of Brian. And I don't exactly know how that's being done. I don't know if they're selling the stuff there and then that's how it's being done or what, but I know there's a purple out.
All right. Are they going to
Okay.
try to do that for just Saturday or just Sunday or the auction?
Let me find out the deets on that, and I will definitely get it put up on our Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
people,
perfect.
if you're listening and you're on your way to Tinley, make sure to maybe check around NARBC's Instagram, and you can find that information out.
That info will be coming up again. I shared it a couple times, but I'll get on it some more.
For the people listening to this as you're on your way to Tinley, you're going to want to make a pit stop.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. All right. So we are literally right at an hour and a half. It's been a fantastic show. Brian, thank you for coming and hanging out with us, man. This was a blast.
Awesome.
Hey, I really do appreciate all you guys, man. You guys have always supported us, and I really appreciate that. I value it. Thank you so much. I really do.
Oh, no, absolutely, dude.
No,
It's-
we appreciate you, man.
You guys make the show. I just have it. You know what I mean? Like, it's you guys that, people come to see. So thank you.
Nice. Well, we appreciate you putting it on. I know we all really enjoy our time there. And one last question. Where would you send vendors to eat in the Tinley, Chicago Park, that whole area? Where's your favorite?
Coolest spot is Vinny's Clam Bar, which is in the old Tin Fish, which is basically right across from the show. Vinny's Clam Bar, it's called. It's Italian, and then they've got like a open fire grill behind the bar, wood burning, just with little grates over it. They're doing shrimp, grilled oysters. It's a killer. Vinny's Clam Bar on Instagram is probably the best way. Just go there and you'll see every night they're putting out what they're doing. Chef's
Cool.
Crudo, they got some killer sushi stuff.
All right.
Octopus, a lot of great stuff.
Nice. All right, guys.
I'm down for it.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. All right, guys, if you're listening, please subscribe, so we can have more awesome guests like Brian. Also, please make sure to go follow all the stuff with NARBC, and hopefully you're already on your way to the show. So come hang out and say hi to Best Dressed Balls, Canova, and Chimera, and JD and JSA, and everybody on Ball Python Row. The other species are in. It's okay.
Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you this weekend.
It's going to be a blast. Guys, have a good one, and we will see y'all next week. Thanks.